Welcome back to my Mental Health and Crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for educational purpose only. This is the case of the Idaho quadruples. May the 4 victims rest in peace. Condolence to their families. And may the correct justice be served. Today I'd like to talk about the 4 or possibly 5 figures that were seen running towards the Sigma Chi fraternity, I believe. They look like they were running from the direction of Queens Road, Kings Road, possibly the victim's house. This was at 12 minutes past 3, and it just caught on the body cam of the police officers at the Banfield alcohol stop. You can see where the arrow is pointing at. That is the light that caught them passing by, or they're passing in front of the light. The police body cam caught them. And I find it very strange that the police said there was nothing to those 4 to 5 figures walking or running. I believe they're very involved in this case, especially due to the previous timeline. So the 4 figures would have been running in front of that brown house. And behind that small blue house is 1122 Kings Road, the victim's house. There's a little alleyway or passage with steps, wooden steps, I believe. And I believe they came from the victim's house. They ran down the steps. They went to the left, passed by the brown house. That's where the lights caught them. Crossed here and went to the Sigma Chi fraternity, allegedly. So that's how it looked at night. That white bright light is in front of the brown house. Behind these bushes and tree, actually behind the car, you have a black coat that looks like the coat Maddie was wearing that night. So just pay attention to the timelines. Something was definitely happening. Something was definitely happening between 2 to 3:30 almost, I believe. I believe personally that the timelines were changed to make it suitable so that they could add DM as a witness. Because if someone's a witness, they would have said that from the beginning. Why would Chief Fry correct ABC News by saying, I did not say the surviving roommates were witness. I said they were just there. 6-7 weeks later, DM became a witness. You see the figures? Watch once again. See, when I count the heads, it seems like 4. At times it seems like it's 5. Where did these figures come from? Let's not forget 3 unidentified male DNAs was found in this house. And we have 4 figures running. Was it what the 4chan said? That they would do it within 19 minutes? No guns, too loud, no knives? Sorry, they didn't say knives, they said no guns. That was at least the important part of the 4chan, which she explained 90 minutes. Look at these boys. He's busy on his mobile device, on his phone device. So this is how it would have looked at the daytime. This is where they would have passed. That is the light. Yeah, that is the light, definitely. Which light is that? I think there's Saeed and the officer standing in the middle. Just let me rewind a bit here, sorry. Don't mean to make anyone seasick, I'm just trying to check something. Yeah, I think there were 4. Where did they come from? Have they been investigated properly? Is that why the Sigma Chi was under the microscope? So this would have been 17, 18 minutes after the girls made the last phone call to Jack D. Seems like one of them has long hair. Why does Saeed, his jumper or vest, looks so greenish, reddish, yellowish? Or is it just a torch? Must be the light. So Sigma Chi fraternity was having a party. I wonder if the party was done. This is 2:54. Didn't a fight break out there at 3 a.m.? Or was it before that? I wonder if E and Zana were at home. The police are saying everyone was home at 1:45 according to the surviving roommates. That's if you believe their version. I wouldn't believe their version because they took 8 hours to call the cops. I'm being fair. Saeed seems to have on a silver chain under his blue top. I wonder why he doesn't have it hanging out. Isn't that part of the style? And where did Saeed actually come from? He told the police, I can show you all my driving license, it's at home. And he pointed out behind Taylor Avenue, those white buildings. He said he lives there. So what was he doing right in the middle of a alcohol under minor stop? What was he doing here? Did he come to distract them? And where did those 3 young boys come from? Now this is interesting. You see this picture here? Pay attention to the white railings on the right-hand side, the steps basically, inside the building. The second floor, that is where I've always said Kaylee, Maddie, Zana, E, DM and BF took the pictures the last day. It was on the second floor because I remember studying the picture and some other pictures a couple of months ago. So I wonder who lives there. Is it a friend of theirs? Because they all took the picture there. And could that friend know exactly what happened to them? And I really believe that the Banfield and the grub truck and the body cam where Jack Walter, Maddie and Kaylee were talking when they're walking from the corner club are really important to this case. Really important, extremely important. I hope Ann Taylor uses that to her advantage. Because I want to know where these 3 young men came from and where Saeed came from. I believe Saeed came to distract the police from these 3 young men. Imagine the police has asked them to stop and they just walked by. They kept on walking till the police guy had to run after them, the undercover police, put on his torch and stop them and ask them to come back. And they told the police that they ran off because they walked off because they thought it was fake cops. How do you like that? And the police was having a nice conversation with these 3 young men, who could be 19 or 20, without checking if they had weapons in their pocket, without checking what they threw in the field. That is more important. Where were they heading? These 3 could have come from 1122 Kings Road. They look like they're the age of Zana and E. And I really believe Zana and E, unfortunately, were brutally unalived earlier than Maddie and Kaylee. That's my personal opinion. I just don't believe one was the target. They all were targets in separate ways. And it's really unfortunate. I believe the fraternities are involved, allegedly. I believe many school students are involved, so that will be part of the university. And maybe other organizations. Something was definitely going on inside that house. I just don't believe this was an innocent thing that went wrong. You don't take 4 people's lives over something minor. Even people who are intoxicated don't do that. They're standing there without no care. But pay attention to the timing. 2:57. That means the 4 or 5 figures are already inside 1122 Kings Road, allegedly doing whatever they're doing. This is bigger than we think. Allegedly. So is it possible that David Lott had his window is supposed to be facing 1122 Kings Road? So it's either, I'm sure it's the one in the second floor, on the second floor. He had a clear, clean vision of the second and third floor of 1122 Kings Road. They were going to go when the lights go off. That's what they said. And Sigma Chi said they didn't have any CCTV cameras to see if anyone left or came in that night. So they had their alibi prepared, although they were under the microscope. 3 unidentified male DNAs. I'm sure it was from there. At least 2 of them or 1 of them.
Asking the public to help them fill in key gaps in the timeline the night that 4 students were stabbed to death as the investigation continues in Moscow, Idaho. Now, part of that timeline includes a party at a fraternity house where investigators believe Xana and Ethan were at some point before they returned home. Senior national correspondent Brian Inton is live in Moscow. And Brian, you spoke with the president of the Sigma Chi fraternity house.
Yeah, Nicole, this was our very first time speaking with the president of that fraternity. You know, they've really been under the microscope because we know 2 of the victims were at that fraternity house a short time before the murders. The president says they are fully cooperating with the police. The flag is at half-staff at the University of Idaho Sigma Chi fraternity house, the last place victims Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin were seen alive, according to police. For the first time, we are hearing from the fraternity's president.
I knew them. Ethan was always in our house. Xana was a good friend before, Ethan even came up. But that's all I really want to talk about right now because I actually have class here in like 15 minutes.
Sigma Chi President Reed Offson says the fraternity is cooperating with the investigation. The fraternity is about half a block from the house where the murders happened. Does anyone know where they were during that timeline? Like there's still this big chunk where...
As of right now, we've told Moscow PD, Idaho State Police, and the FBI all we know. We're kind of leaving it up to them to piece it together. Obviously, we don't have the utilities or resources to do it on our own, so we're just putting full faith in the officers and in the detectives doing it. But that's all I do right now.
Are there any cameras around?
Not on the front.
Moscow police say they are investigating the time frame between 9 p.m. the night before the murders on November 12th and 1:45 a.m. when Ethan and Xana were believed to be at the Sigma Chi house. Meanwhile, detectives are not commenting on whether or not they are making significant progress in the case, only saying they have no suspects identified and will not release information at the risk of compromising the investigation. And we have learned that starting tomorrow, police will go into the house behind me, which is still a crime scene, and start removing some of the personal items that belong to the victims. They say they want to return those items to the families. Nicole?
All right, Brian, live there in Moscow. Thank you.
It's clear to see that the president of the Sigma Chi fraternity doesn't want to give out any answers. I'm sure there's many people who live at the Sigma Chi. And for their own safety, isn't the frats and the sororities supposed to have cameras? Or wasn't it working that day? He said we are cooperating with law enforcement. And he has to go to a class, so he's in a hurry. I've always said from the beginning, Sigma Chi and the not being straightforward, obviously. I don't believe they're coming forward with the truth. Something happened at the Sigma Chi fraternity party with the couple. And I believe that is the exculpatory evidence Bethany Funk has. That is why Brian Christopher Koberger mentioned her. That's why I say Brian could be involved. He could have helped someone to do this. He could have lent his car to someone. He could have lent his knife to someone. Anything is possible. There were too many people at the crime scene. There were too many people at the scene at 1122 Kings Road before the police even set a foot into the house.